Good morning, MegaPodlinks. Krazy Joe here. I have an apology to make. The video you're about to see was shot using Skype, and you'll notice that as the video goes on, it starts out okay, but as the video goes on, the audio and the video start to go out of sync. We did not know this was happening while we were recording it. We didn't know till after the conversation was over and we did the playback. So it's like that on the master. I mean, if it was just one part, I might be able to adjust it, but I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of what we're stuck with. So please know, as you're watching this, there will be a bit of a sync issue between the audio and the video. It's a minor detail, and I hope it's not so distracting that it takes away from your enjoyment of the video. But unfortunately, it's one of those technical glitches. When you use Skype, you really don't know what you're going to get. 9 times out of 10, it'll be fine, but occasionally you'll get this. And you don't really know until you do the playback when the conversation is completely over. So my apologies. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the video.
Good morning, MegaPodlings. It's Krazy Joe. And look who's with me. It's Heath from Cereal at Midnight.
What's up, Joe? What's up, MegaPodlings?
Welcome, welcome. Happy to have you here.
It's wonderful to be here. You were a guest on Cereal at Midnight talking about Star Wars, and now I am here talking about our 5 favorite movies of the year, right?
Yes. Top 5 of
Top
2019. 5. Now, here's the thing. You've already put out a video with your top of 2019, but I purposely did not watch it because I want to be surprised when you tell me.
And do you know what? I thought about making different picks, but I was like, I can't do that. I got to stick to my guns. Thought about changing it up, but I didn't do it.
Well, I'll tell you, my top 2, I had a real hard time with my top 2 because I knew what my top 2 were going to be, but I really had trouble deciding the order.
Charlie's Angels, and I was trying to think of another unsuccessful bomb of a movie. I liked the Charlie's Angels movie, for the record. I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay.
I have not seen it. There was a movie that today I thought that was the worst movie I saw all year. And I don't remember what it was. This is no spoiler. I don't know if it's on your list. But my viewers know that I did not care for this movie. So it's no spoiler that this isn't in my top 5. But I despised Booksmart, which a lot of people loved. But
yeah.
I'm like, well, this is just the same thing as Superbad, but not funny.
I didn't see it, so I can't comment.
And my friend Rick, it's one of his top films of the year. So, but Rick and I have very different tastes. So.
Well, I think I have a movie that everybody loves from 2019 that I did not like. In fact, not only did I not like it, I kind of hate it. I don't even think I should say it. They'll come after me with pitchforks, and it might be on your list. So we'll see.
All right. Well, who wants to go first? Who should go first for number 5?
We could rock paper scissors it. I know you. It's up to you. I'll
go. I don't know. Yeah. Why don't you go? Let's go. Number 5.
Wait, if I go first, I want you to be last. So does that work out like that? I think it does. Yeah. If I go first now, you'll be last. Right?
Okay. Let me see. Is that right?
So like bump, bump,
yeah.
bump.
Oh, yeah.
Bump,
that's
bump,
right. That's right.
Bump, bump. Bump,
that's
bump.
right.
Okay. Coming in at number 5. This is a movie that I know you didn't like because I saw your Instagram post about it. But my number 5 is Ford v Ferrari. Matt Damon and Christian Bale.
Yeah, a lot of people love that movie. And I even said I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it was a movie that wasn't for me because the subject matter didn't interest me.
My joke is that, and I think this is the first time I'm making this joke on a video, so it's fresh, and I shouldn't have even said that it's. Edit it out. My joke is you can judge the quality of a movie based on how many times they play the song Polk Salad Annie in the movie. And this movie plays it 3 times, so big win for Ford v Ferrari.
Is that really something you've said for a while now? No,
it's my joke about the movie. When I came, my wife was like, how was it? And I was like, well, they played Polk Salad Annie 3 times, so it's a win.
See, I was going to say, because I can't, other than Conan O'Brien Can't Stop, I can't think of another movie that's got Polk Salad Annie in it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I wrote the joke for this movie.
All right, that works then.
I don't know. I liked it. You know, I told this story in my my favorites video, but I'll tell it again here because it's delicious. It's a delicious story. I was in Target on Black Friday, like Black Friday night, with my daughter, looking at the little, you know, shippers with the cheap movies in them, and these pretentious movie fans, these like kids, they're like 20. And, you know, when you're 20 and you're a movie fan, you think you've got all of cinema figured out. And they're like, I think that Ford v Ferrari was just designed to be every dad's favorite movie. And the other guy was like, oh, totally, bro. My dad loved that movie. He thought it was fantastic. And I'm like, having seen the movie, I was like, it seems legit. I think it was. That's my reaction. That's how I felt about it. Like, it was just, I mean, I do like cars. I'm not super gearheady. I do work on our cars a little bit, but I'm not the guy who's like, oh yeah, 450 block, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't do that. I just got really sucked into the story itself and the human drama. It felt to me like a classic Hollywood. I mean, there are classic Hollywood movies about that subject. There's a Steve McQueen movie. It just felt very classic Hollywood to me. And you don't see that a lot these days. It felt very retro in a certain way to me.
I can see that. Yeah, you know, and it might be a movie I want to revisit because, I don't know. It was also late at night. I was tired. But I just, too. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe that's one I revisit. But,
I also think Christian Bale is not someone that I usually enjoy watching. Like, he's okay, but he was just so in the movie. He's very humble. He's very relatable and kind of downtrodden. And it's just really hard not to, even in the press. He seems very likable. That I saw, you know, the press tour and everything. They talked to him about his weight gain and then his weight loss, and he was just like, I think I'm done with that. Like, I think I can't keep. He just felt like he felt more human than I've seen Christian Bale be human. Like 15 years. I mean, it's been a long time.
I think we all soured a little on Christian Bale after the Terminator 4 tape came out.
I think so. I think that might have been, if not the first straw, one of the stronger straws. Yeah.
Yeah.
McGee! He's in my eye line!
The funny thing is, I have a friend who, I love this guy, man. I love him. But he's very different from me in that I don't have much of a temper. I rarely get angry. Mm-hmm. But my friend very much has a temper. Mm-hmm. He's Irish, and he's got that red-hot Irish temper that, like, you know... he was the only person I ever heard defend Christian Bale after that tape. Because he's like, you know, that tape came out, and everyone's like... Christian Bale was being a jerk, man. Christian Bale was being terrible. He says, well, let me ask you this. We weren't on that set. What if Christian Bale was right? What if it was the other guy who was at fault? And I'm like, you're the only person I know who would hear that tape and rush to Christian Bale's defense.
Right. I mean, like,
it just made me laugh.
Even if he was right, I mean, I'm sure there's tension. Like, I understand you don't want someone in your eye line while you're trying to do a scene, but you don't have to talk to somebody like that. You talk to that guy like a piece of dirt. I don't know, man. Anyway, this movie kind of redeemed Bale for me. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, my number 5.
Yes.
And I'm going to actually make a bet right now. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to guess this is the one you hated.
Uh-oh.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't know. Number 5 for me is Joker.
Yep. That's right.
That was the one.
That's the one. That's the one.
So neither one of us likes the other one's number 5.
Well, that's cool because we can have a conversation about it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me first start off by saying Joker was a movie I did not expect to like. Mm-hmm. Because I'm very much a traditionalist.
Yeah. And
I feel the Joker is a classic character. The Joker is almost... it's one of... In Batman Begins, when Commissioner Gordon says, you know, he left a calling card, and they flipped over that Joker card, everyone in my theater went nuts the first night. Everyone was like, yeah, because you knew what that meant, and you liked it, and you wanted to see the Joker. So, as a traditionalist, and I get a lot of flack for this, I'm not crazy about Heath Ledger's Joker
Oh.
because it's a great performance. He gives a great performance, but it's too much of a reinvention of the character. And I'm like, this is a reinvention of something that didn't need to be reinvented because it was perfect. Like when Commissioner Gordon flipped that Joker card, I don't think anyone in that theater was thinking, yes, they're going to redesign the Joker from the ground up. You know, like, I don't think that thought was on people. Had expectations. I think that expectation was like a Jack Nicholson, a Mark Hamill on the animated series. Like, that's kind of what you expected. And we got this wildly different character with like facial scars, who was wearing makeup, not the acid having bleached his skin. And I just was like, well, this is a good movie and it's a good performance, but you're reinventing something that didn't need to be reinvented. And that kind of bugged me. So when I started seeing the previews for this Joker, and I saw again he was clearly wearing facial makeup and they weren't going with a he fell in acid, I'm like, oh, this is another reinvention of something that was fine, something that didn't need that kind of reinvention. So I went in, I saw the movie, I expected to hate it, and to my surprise, the movie totally won me over. I'm surprised it's in my top 5.
But that's great because you were pleasantly surprised by something, and what a wonderful experience to have.
I agree. I always want to be wrong when I think something's not going to be good.
Right. You never want to have your worst fears affirmed.
Exactly. I think people have accused me of, I'll say like, well, I don't think this is going to be good. And then I'll come out and say, well, yeah, I didn't like that. Or I'll say, yeah, I'm really excited about this movie. And I'll come out and say, yeah, I liked it. And people will be like, yeah, well, you made your mind up ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not that I made my mind up ahead of time. It's that I know what I like.
Yeah.
And I saw the DNA in the trailer. And I kind of got a feel for this is my type of thing, or this isn't my type of thing. So when you get something like Joker, that's just the kind of thing that keeps you honest. You know, it's like I'm going in. If I came out and said this was if I sat there, was riveted for 2 hours, and then came out and said, yeah, piece of crap, like just because that's what I said on my channel, that my opinion was going in, then I'm not being honest.
Right.
So yeah, this is the kind of movie that keeps you honest. Like I went in expecting to hate it, and man, did I ever have a turnaround on it.
I think that's great.
But I'd like to hear your opinion. And I promise you, no one will get the pitchforks out. If anyone gets pitchforks out and goes after Heath, you're going to answer to me, man.
So I'll try to talk in a way that, because here's the thing, I never want to, like, you like this movie, so I don't want to say anything that's going to try to take away, I don't want to convince you that you're wrong. That's not, at the end of the day.
Well, if you do, put it this way, if you do, it just means you made a great argument.
Yeah, but I just don't want to do that. I never want to take someone's happiness away or try to talk someone out of liking something. I'd rather talk someone into liking something that they did not like before than to try to the other way around. But okay, I'll say I have a lot of issues with the movie. Being the purist aspect, I suppose there is that. I do feel like DC has yet to really nail some of these characters in their modern universe, like their modern continuity that they're trying to build. There's a lot of stuff they've yet to nail, and this is basically an Elseworlds. They've gone hard R with it, and I don't think that's a great move because I think that that's just preference. It's all just preference. I understand what they're doing. I understand why they're doing it. Now the Birds of Prey movie is rated R.
For the record, I agree fully with you on this because I think DC's going too far with the R rating, and I don't think Birds of Prey should be rated R. Yeah. It's based on a comic book where most of those characters made their first appearance in books approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah.
Which meant it was acceptable for general audiences. And the main character, Harley Quinn, made her appearance on an afternoon TV show, a cartoon that we all watched when we got out of school in the afternoon. These aren't R-rated characters. And Titans on DC Universe, which, by the way, I think is a fabulous show. I love the show. That shouldn't be so mature viewers either, because that's the Teen Titans. That was the teen sidekicks. That was this is the Justice League, and this is the book you kids could relate to, and they've gone like, obviously it doesn't have an R rating because it's TV, but so yeah, I think DC's going a little too far there.
Yeah, I don't think anything that DC has that. Well, I don't know that DC's name is on Joker. I don't remember seeing DC's name. I don't think it's a DC film, but it is the Joker. So of course it is. But I don't know. I don't think any of these movies should be rated R. I think that even if we adapted The Killing Joke, I know they did adapt The Killing Joke in animated form, and I think it was rated R. But I don't necessarily think that that's an R-rated story. But you could easily do that PG-13. Anyway, that's just the tip of the iceberg for me. My biggest complaint about Joker is that it is so drawn from Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, I think Mean Streets as well. It stands on the shoulders of Martin Scorsese in a way that I think maybe some younger viewers don't connect with because they're not super familiar with Scorsese's 70s films. Scorsese was going to direct that movie. When it first was in gestation, it was offered to Scorsese. So they debated it, they talked about it for a long time, and he eventually stepped away from it. One, because I think he doesn't want to do comic book movies. That's just not where his heart is. And two, I think that he says maybe there were some scheduling issues. As a Scorsese movie, I think Joker is fantastic because it's a commentary on his past career. It's the flip of the Rupert Pupkin and King of Comedy goes to Rupert Pupkin gets to become Jerry Lewis in Joker. It's a reversal of that role. But without Scorsese, it's just an homage to all these other Scorsese movies without anyone saying, by the way, these are really influenced by Martin Scorsese. And my wife and I have been talking about this, and I'm like, does a movie have any responsibility to say, we got a lot of this from this thing? If there had been a credit that said, like, inspired by the films of Martin Scorsese or something like that, and Scorsese got a credit, which means that he would get paid and he would get recognition, I'd be a lot more okay with it. But I know the argument for that is that they can do whatever they want to do. It's not influence. It's just influence. It's just an influence by Taxi Driver. But I think there's certain scenes that are directly lifted from those movies. So
that's an interesting critique, and I have heard that from a couple other people. So yeah, that's. I can't say you're wrong.
I mean, there's literally like a "you talking to me" scene in this movie where he's dancing in his living room with a gun. It is you talking to me without saying you talking to me. It's the same scene.
I'll tell you one thing I really loved that they did in this movie that I wouldn't mind if they made this a permanent fixture of future versions of the Joker. I liked the neurological condition that made him laugh. I thought that was a really cool little twist.
Yeah.
One of the things I didn't like about Heath Ledger is he didn't really have that Joker laugh. He kind of like, the Joker, there's certain things you expect from the Joker, and one of them is the maniacal laughter. And he just kind of was like, you see these scars? You know where I got these scars? And it's like...
It's really good.
I see what you're doing there, and it's cool, and it's really great performance, but that doesn't say the Joker to me.
Yeah.
Clearly I'm in the minority because everyone loves his Joker.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't know. I'm not sure that I love that Joker either. I like it. I think it's a good performance. I could say maybe with Joaquin Phoenix as well. I think it's a good performance, but I don't know that I like the performance in this movie. I think it's... the word that comes to mind with this performance is ostentatious. I think that it's really big and large and showy, and I don't respond well to those kinds of performances. Everybody loves De Niro in Cape Fear, the Scorsese version of Cape Fear. I don't like that performance. I think it's too showy, and I think it feels very artificial. And you compare that to Robert Mitchum's performance of the same character in his version, the original Cape Fear, and it's like night and day. I just don't go for the showy, dramatic. It's like, look at me. I don't. It's like the theater for the back row. I don't usually respond well to that.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and guess you're more of a fan of Brian Cox's Hannibal Lecter than Anthony
Hopkins.
Yeah. Am I right?
I've actually never thought about that. Maybe
because Hopkins goes for the
it's camp. I mean, it crosses over when he's like it crosses the line for sure. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. You're probably right. I should also say I did respond more to that when I was just a little bit younger. I'm not saying like, but now I'm a film connoisseur. Like that's not really what I'm just trying to say. But as I've gotten older, maybe I've gotten more inflexible. You know, it's that Star Trek quote, like, have we become so inflexible? That may be where I find myself now, just as the older, jaded movie fan. I'm like, he's just doing this for an award. What's with the posing and all this stuff? It just didn't work for me personally, but I realize that it does for a lot of people. I think it's shot fantastically. I should say that. I do think it's shot very well.
All right. Well, let's move on to number 4. Let's hear what your number 4 is.
So my number 4 is it's a Martin Scorsese movie that is on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive, but it's not the one that everyone thinks that it is. It's the Bob Dylan documentary, The Rolling Thunder Revue, about his I think it's 1974, the tour that Bob Dylan took. It's kind of a sequel to the last Bob Dylan documentary that Scorsese did called No Direction Home. And it came out earlier this year. It's a Netflix exclusive, directed by Scorsese. And
I love the twist. I love the twist you gave us here.
Right?
We all we know where he's going. Nope, that's not where he went.
Right. We swerved. I don't know. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I'm a big music fan, and I didn't really hear anybody talking about this. There was some pop in circumstance right before it dropped on Netflix, or like that weekend. But I haven't heard a whole lot of love for that documentary since then. It's fantastic. It's basically a tour archive of a documentary about that tour that they played like very small venues. We were talking about Bob Dylan, who at the time was huge. They played very small venues. There was almost no money in it. It was just for fun. It was just to get out there and like see the world and play the kind of music that they wanted to play. I think it actually may have lost money. But they talked to all these people, you know, that were involved with it now behind the scenes. They talked to Dylan behind the scenes, to Joan Baez, all these characters from the 70s. And they were like, well, why did you do it? And they were like, you know, it was basically like, well, why not? It was there. We had to do it. And it was really cool. I love that kind of stuff. I love the cinematic documentary film about that sort of a subject, music or a tour or something like that.
Very cool. Okay. I'm not familiar with that at all.
Okay.
So thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh.
I really liked this movie. I saw it twice in the theater, and it was 2 consecutive nights. I went 2 consecutive nights, which I haven't done that very often with many movies, going 2 consecutive nights. But I did it with this one. I really I'm a Tarantino fan. I've been for, you know, since I saw. I missed Reservoir Dogs in its initial release.
Mm-hmm.
I caught that one on VHS. So yeah, since Pulp Fiction, I've been a big Tarantino fan. And where does this rank on his the scale of Tarantino movies? I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed it. I heard a lot of people say it was slow. I didn't feel it was slow. I was with the movie every step of the way. I liked all the characters. I liked all the performances. I've heard people say, well, Sharon Tate's story was pretty pointless. I didn't feel that way. So yeah. This was a movie that I thought I think it deserves more recognition, really, because a lot of people. A lot of people said there was like no action till the end, and I found myself wondering, well, when did Tarantino become known as an action director?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's never been that way in my mind, but
yeah.
I guess some people think of him that way. Because
what are the action scenes in any of it? What's the action scene in Reservoir Dogs? The heist takes place off screen.
Right.
What about Pulp Fiction? There's a standoff. There's a couple of standoffs. I can't think of an action scene.
I mean, Death Proof has the whole part with Stuntman Mike. But, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Okay. And as Joe takes off his
Sorry about that.
Say, bless you. Bless you, Joe. Well, that's my number 3. So we can transition right into my number 3. I thought it was my third movie of the year. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I have heard people say that it was too long as well. It could have been twice as long as it was, and I would absolutely have loved it. It so clicks with my personal preferences of movies, my taste. I love retro Hollywood. I mean, you know, Serial Midnight under our name, it says pop culture and analog. I love retro culture, and that movie is just bursting with 1969 pop culture, the music, the billboards, the movies, the TV shows in their houses and stuff that they're watching on TV. I adored Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I have nothing. I have no notes for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I just love it. It's just like, it makes me happy. I think that it's maybe not for everybody because of what it is. It is Quentin Tarantino's love letter to Hollywood. The whole the stuff with Bounty Law is basically Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen. I mean, he's taken some things that were like Hollywood reality and brought it just a little bit to the left and made his own version of it. And I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Now here's the question for you. Let me ask you this, because one of the negatives that I hear about this movie is like, well, it's not historically accurate for the Sharon Tate story. Is that a reason to knock it? Is that a negative for this movie? Does he have a responsibility to tell the truth?
Well, I mean, we all saw what he did with the Inglourious Bastards. I mean, is it any different? I kind of like the idea that when you go to a Tarantino movie, you really don't know where it's going to go, because even when it's a historical drama, that doesn't mean he's going to adhere to history.
Right.
You really don't know where he's going to take you. Yeah, no, I don't think that's an issue. And did you hear the speech Greta Gerwig gave when she was presenting Tarantino with an award recently, and she commented on excuse me, I don't have the speech in front of me, so I'm not going to get it right. Probably.
You didn't memorize the speech?
I did not memorize the speech, but no, she said Tarantino is a man who believes in the power of movies. He believes that movies have the power to kill Hitler. And have the... Do I want to say it? Am I going to... Spoiler alert for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, maybe you want to lower the volume. I'll give 2 thumbs up when I'm done saying it, so you know you can turn the volume up again. So lower the volume now if you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
We should have like a fake argument while the sound's down. We should be like... You... This knocked my headphones off.
But she said he believes that movies can give Sharon Tate one more summer.
Oh man!
And I thought that was beautiful.
I
thought.
Oh.
So. All right, let me. You can turn the volume back up now. So, and if you didn't turn the volume down and the movie was spoiled for you, that's on you. Anyway.
Every movie fan loves that person that we were just talking about when the volume was down. A lot of movie fans, it's cult movie character or cult movie star, you know. So now turn the volume back down if you don't want to hear anything.
Turn the volume back down. We'll give you the thumbs up.
That's right. Turn it. Okay, is it down? We all love Sharon Tate, right? Like the Fearless Vampire Killers and, you know, the Dean Martin movie. Like, I feel like Sharon Tate is a cult character. She's in the same, like the whole Charles Manson thing. It's become just like a part of a certain kind of our culture. Like Rob Zombie, you know, like these are some of the people that, anyway, he was able to give her a happy ending, but she did not have a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I think as a movie fan, if that is his love letter to Hollywood, what better gift could he give to one of the most tragic figures of the 60s by giving her a happy ending? I thought that was really sweet, and I loved it. I wasn't expecting it. And of course, what happens, I'm just like, oh my God, like, wow. He gave that whole story.
I kept waiting for it to happen, and then it didn't happen. Oh, you mean, you could, by the way, turn the volume back up. By the way, years ago, when was it? Maybe like 2010. I was in Hollywood visiting a friend. I have a friend who lives out there, and my best friend Dave.
Was
Perillo,
it Quentin Tarantino?
No. His name's Greg Barna. But anyway,
Okay.
Hey Greg, if you're watching. But anyway, my best friend Dave Perillo, who I do the Lunchbox Bunch videos with, he's a very talented and in-demand artist, and he had a gallery opening out at Gallery 1988 in Los Angeles, so we all went out for his gallery opening, and our friend Greg, who lives out there, took us out to dinner. He's like, come on out to dinner. And there was this Warner Brothers animator who went to dinner with us. And he was a friend of a friend who somehow tagged along. We didn't know this guy. But as we're eating dinner, this Warner Brothers animator went on this big, long rant. And it was, I wish to God I had it on videotape. It was one of those things where everyone at the table was either in total silence, riveted by his rant, or laughing hysterically because he was cracking us up. And it was about his relationship, his friendship with Dana Plato. Apparently, when he was like, he lived out in Hollywood for years as an animator, working for different studios. He met Dana Plato when she was down on her luck, and she used to come to him looking for money and things like that. And he's going on this rant about Dana Plato, and it was, it was so funny. Like, you had to hear it. It was just this guy going on about, and then she came to me and she wanted money, and I'm like, no, you go up to the executives on the Hill and you get that money, because they all had a fetish from her from that show. And I said, you get down on your knees and you beg them for a job and they'll give it to you because they all love you from that show. And she didn't do it, and she's dead now. She's dead. She's like, this guy was so over the top going on about Dana Plato, and it was going on and on. And we're sitting there like, this is unreal, this rant. So I'll never forget that. This is like a big rambly speech, I know, that I'm giving here that seems like it's going nowhere. But we get done eating and we leave, and we're like, wow, that was one heck of a dinner. The food was good. That guy, that animator guy, he was like, he was a hoot and a half. Like, it just, the Dana Plato stories, like, my God. And we're sitting there just standing outside this restaurant, and my friend Greg goes, oh yeah, by the way, forgot to mention, this is where Sharon Tate had her last meal. And then it was like, oh.
Wow.
Oh. And that's, where he had taken us. And that restaurant's in the movie. I don't remember the name of the restaurant off the top of my head, but
yeah.
But yeah, and so I ate at that restaurant once and heard long rambling stories about Dana Plato. To the kids watching, Dana Plato was on an old sitcom called Different Strokes. Google it.
Well, you gotta keep talking, because that was my number 3, and now it's time for you to share your number 3.
My number 3 is Knives Out.
Oh.
Knives Out is a movie that did I love this movie. We hear now that it's going to be getting a sequel about the continuing adventures of Daniel Craig's detective,
Mr. Benoit Blanc.
Yes, and my God, is he great in that movie with his southern accent. He is just so terrific in that movie. The whole cast is terrific. It's an all-star cast. It's a murder mystery. We don't get a whole lot of movies like that anymore. It's obviously a throwback to, like, your Agatha Christie type movies, but it's been so long since we've seen a movie like this that it feels new. It feels, I guess it hasn't been that long because we just had Murder on the Orient Express. I don't know. It felt fresh, though. It felt fresh. It felt different.
Yeah.
And I think I know a lot of people who, I don't want to change the subject here, but I know I've read a lot of people who hate The Last Jedi were saying, well, I'm not going to watch this because it's the guy who did The Last Jedi. If you miss this movie because you hate that movie, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's a very different movie. It's not with the same genre. It's not similar. And I think that's actually one of the strengths of Rian Johnson is, if you look at every movie he's done, none of them are really similar to one another. He really kind of masters a lot of different styles, because like Brick is not like the Brothers Bloom, and the Brothers Bloom is not like Looper. And this is another really unique thing from him, and I think it's one of the year's best. It's funny. It kept me guessing till the end. I never was sure who was the culprit. And I want to see it again, frankly. I've only seen it once. I know you've seen it twice, right?
Yes.
I want to see it again. I haven't found the time is one of the things. Time is my issue. But I love this movie. So yes, and oddly enough, there's a movie that's not on my list that I've seen 3 times. And this movie I like more, and I've only seen it once.
What's the movie you've seen 3 times?
Well, if I say, because I already said I don't like it as much, then you're going to know it's not my number 2, and you're going to know it's not my number 1.
We're going to have to circle. We're going to have to circle back. Yeah, go ahead and say it.
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, okay. That's not on my list either, so we won't. So it's all good.
Right. Yeah. That's not on my list, but I've seen that 3 times.
I agree with everything you just said about Knives Out, and I don't know how that I have much to add. I love the movie so much that it's my number 2. This was my number 2 pick, so we're just flying through now. I loved it so much. I saw it again on Christmas Day. This was our Christmas Day movie. We got to spend Christmas Day with Benoit Blanc. I could sop it up with a biscuit, Joe. It's fantastic. And yeah, anybody that's like, well, I'm not going to go see it because I don't like The Last Jedi. Well, one, Rian Johnson doesn't care. He's gotten paid, and like, you're only hurting yourself. I get so from like an integrity perspective, if you really, really, really hate The Last Jedi, I guess I understand. Like, I'm standing my ground. But it's a really good movie, and it's not remotely the same thing. And it's super smart, and it's super funny. I can't say everybody's likable, but everybody's entertaining in the movie.
Yeah.
And he did manage to bring it. So you said the Murder on the Orient Express. That's true. That was it like a year or 2 ago?
Yeah.
But it was, we've had that. That's not new. This is a new character, and so it does feel fresh because he invented like a classic detective. Just invented him, and he's fantastic. So what I said in the review that we did, or maybe I said it somewhere, is that I didn't want a sequel, or I didn't want another. I wanted more Benoit Blanc, but I did not want it anytime soon. I wanted it like in 10 years when it felt like he'd had another story that he could bring. But then he was talking. He's like, yeah, we want to do another one, and maybe next year. Maybe we can have it done next year. And I was like, yes, like bring it on. Like I didn't want to feel rushed,
I know exactly what you mean, but it also tells me the fact that Rian Johnson wants to make it so much, and that Daniel Craig wants to make it so much. There's passion behind this.
Yeah,
they love this. They love what they're doing, and they can't wait to do it again.
And it means they had a good experience making it too, which is, one of the talking points about The Last Jedi. Is like, well, even the cast hated making the movie. Clearly, everybody involved in this movie seemed to have a really good time. So, I don't know. I think it's just a win.
Daniel Craig's not too keen on making another James Bond. He has to get dragged kicking and screaming every time we do another Bond. And this is another topic. This is another tangent. But I always said, if I were an actor playing James Bond, not that anyone's calling me up to play James Bond, I'm not your guy. If you want James Bond, I'm not your guy. But if they did, I would want to do 7 movies. That would be like my goal. Got to do 7 movies because Sean Connery did 7 and Roger Moore did 7. So I'd be like, I got to tie those guys.
Yeah.
Because I would feel like if I didn't do 7, I'm a lesser Bond. That's how I would feel. That's my hang up, though.
But then George Lazenby was pretty good as. Okay. Just throwing that out there. I was going to say something. Oh,
sorry.
But Daniel Craig could do this until the day he dies. There's no age limit on this character.
Right.
He probably will even get better with age, right? So I think it's wonderful. I think we are witnessing the birth of something that people will be talking about decades from now. I think this movie has serious staying power.
I agree. Man, I love this movie.
Yeah.
So you and I are just like one off now. Like my number 4 was your number 3. My number 3 was your number 2. I wonder if this trend's going to continue.
Let's see. Let's find out.
Whose turn is it?
It's yours. It'll be your number 2, right? Because that was my number 2, so I don't go.
Oh, okay. That was your number 2. All right. Now, like I said, I had a real hard time with number 2 and number 1. These could have easily flip-flopped. I was like, what order do I put them in?
I feel the same way about mine too. And I'll tell you, I can give you my logic for it later, but you go ahead.
My number 2 is Avengers Endgame.
Oh.
It is the culmination of over 20 films. It is quite an achievement of, like, you know, with blockbuster superhero movies. Like, we've never seen anything quite like this before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even like going back to the trilogies we grew up with, like Back to the Future or Star Wars, they never felt quite so grand as we are going to tie we're going to tie 20 films up now. And something like that could have been a total mess. All these characters, like, and I think it just goes to show, like the Batman is shooting right now with Robert Pattinson, and I hear a lot of people saying, don't they ever learn? They got too many villains. There's too many villains. The Riddler's in it, the Penguin's in it, Catwoman's in it. That's too many. Why don't they learn? And I think in Avengers Endgame or in Avengers Infinity War is what you point to and say, the number of characters you have in your movie is irrelevant. It's how good the movie is. It's how good the script is. It's how good the direction is. A movie could have 3 characters and be awful, and you could have a movie like this that's got like 27 characters and it's great because it's just handled better. So the number of villains in the Batman doesn't worry me because Matt Reeves is making it, and I trust Matt Reeves. And the Russo brothers did something amazing with Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and they created a really satisfying tie-up to 20 films. And it's the kind of thing they could have easily fallen flat on their face because people had so many expectations going into this. And it's hard to live up to those kinds of expectations. But they did it. And they made a movie that is fun, it's entertaining, it's action-packed, and it's heartfelt. I mean, there's some moments where you get out the box of tissues because we say goodbye to characters. I love this movie. This could have been my number 1, but it's not. It's my number 2.
Okay.
Hang on. I'm going to sneeze.
I can tell. It's like it's coming.
Maybe
vamp.
not. It went away.
I'll vamp. Okay. You with us?
Yeah.
String.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. I really enjoyed Avengers Endgame. I saw it twice in the theater. I haven't slotted it in. I don't know where it fits yet because I haven't revisited it since. I'm wondering how it holds up as a movie. Does it stand on its own, or is it the second half of the duology of Infinity War and Avengers Endgame? I don't know. I'm just saying, does it stand alone? Does it serve everything that it needs to serve within that self-contained movie? I guess it probably does. I think it probably does. But no, I agree with everything you're saying. It was such a culmination of what's been. We've never seen anything like this before. Over 20 movies, a decade. It's incredible. I say that the Marvel movies are kind of a modern version of serials. Much more expensive cereals, but like the 50 like cereals SERI, not like breakfast.
Not the kind you eat at not the kind you eat at midnight.
Right. That's exactly. But they just, instead of coming out like once a week or whatever, now they're like $300 million, and they come out very irregularly, a few times a year. But I don't know, what they've accomplished with these movies is really incredible, and I respect it a whole lot. I just haven't gone back to revisit it to see how I feel about. I just don't know. I love Thanos. I think Thanos is one of my favorite characters of any comic book movie. Just movie in general. He's super sympathetic. I mean, you kind of understand why he's doing what he's doing, and in his own way, like Magneto or like whoever. Even Khan. I know you're a Star Trek guy. Like Khan, you get why. It's not just maniacal. So yeah, I respect that pick. I can understand that completely.
All right. So we're at number 1 then.
Yes, we are. So my number 2 and my number 1, I debated about as well, and I ended up sticking Knives Out. Ooh. I ended up putting that at number 2 just because it was a studio movie. Rian Johnson was a proven director who had made, though he's controversial, he still brought in like $1 billion for Disney. So he's an established filmmaker, and I that was a studio movie. My number 1 is it's distributed by a studio, but it's an independent movie. It's Ready or Not, which is an independent horror movie.
Ooh.
Starring Samara Weaving, however we want to pronounce it. But I adore this movie so much. She impresses me so much. I think that it is... Have you seen Ready or Not?
I have not, and I've heard nothing but good things. Everybody tells me this is a great movie. I gotta see this.
It is so much fun. It's the kind of horror movie... It's horror, but it's the kind of horror movie that you leave with a huge smile on your face. It's not, torture porn or anything like that. It is having a ridiculously good time. It's hilarious. It's laugh out loud funny. And it's kind of like a mix between, the Knives Out and Ready or Not both have kind of an old dark house kind of a thing. They have kind of a Victorian or Edwardian, I don't know, just an old house, lots of wood in these houses. But there's even in Ready or Not, the family that do you know the premise of the movie?
I do.
Okay,
it's sort of like the most dangerous game, right? She's being hunted.
It's a fatal game of hide and seek. The family made their fortune on board games. I won't say how. That's part of the movie, but they made their fortune on board games, and so there's kind of this. They're a gaming empire, and so it's kind of got this almost Jumanji kind of a thing to it as well, because we're talking about like old school board games from the 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. But I can never say enough good things about this movie, and I don't want to overinflate it for people who haven't seen it, but it's just really, really fun. And the things that I respond to, the things that I want from a movie, it really delivered to me, and it is scary. It's not scary. It's tense. It's got a lot of good tension in it, and it's got a lot of good release of the tension as well. And it's a wonderful ride, and I can just revisit it over and over. Did you ever see the horror movie You're Next?
Yeah, I did. It's been a while. I need to watch it again. I don't remember it well enough. All I remember is I liked it.
It's a similar thing where it feels less like it's trying to freak you out and more like it's just like, hey, watch this. Let's have some fun. It feels loving, and it feels kind of light is probably not the word, but there's a lot of levity in it. It's in service of fun. So I adore the movie, and Samara Weaving is, I can't even think of her. She's incredible. Her scream, the thing that's the most impressive is her scream. It's a scream, and then by the end of the movie, it is, because they shoot movies out of sequence and everything, so there must have been some plan. By the end of the movie, her scream is just like this wild animal that's like, it's like, like it's warbling, and I can't even describe it. It is so impressive, man. When you see this movie, I want to know what you think about it.
I'm tempted to try to watch it tonight now. I gotta. It is available, so I should. I don't know. Let me see if I can get my hands on it tonight.
It's pretty short too. I think it's about 90 minutes.
Well, my number 1. If you're ready for it,
let's do it.
All right. Now here's the thing. This movie was my number 1 most anticipated film going into the year. And it lived up to everything I wanted it to be, and it is a movie that I think, in many ways, I think Avengers Endgame is actually a better movie, because Avengers Endgame is more ambitious, it does more, but I find this one to be more rewatchable, more fun, and as you pointed out, Avengers Endgame is part 2. All the setup was done in other films. The setup was done in 20 other films.
Yeah.
Whereas this film is completely self-contained. So my number 1 is Shazam.
Oh, wow.
I love that movie so much. I think it's one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. It's got so much heart, that movie. It's got so much heart. It's got great superhero action. It's got comedic moments. I think it's a perfect movie. I think everything about that movie, from the casting of Zachary Levi, who was ideal for that role, and not to brag, but he was a guest on MegaPodTastic.
You're about to cry because it's so moving. I can tell.
No. That's actually me holding back a sneeze.
Is it the little fella that's down on the floor behind you?
Oh, can you see him?
Yeah. I mean, I can. I don't know that the audience can.
I hope not, because that means you can see the blanket on the floor. He likes to lay on a blanket, so we keep the blanket on the floor for him.
He's doing his he's like, you talking to me? You talking to me?
Go ahead. He's up bothering me. I'm just...
Okay.
It's just seasonal congestion, so bear with me. I apologize.
Gotcha. So Zachary Levi brings you to tears, and he was a guest.
Yes. No, handsome. He is. And he's, my God, nice guy, too. Have you ever met Zachary Levi?
I've never met him, but I've heard him on various podcasts, and he seems like a really great guy.
Yeah, he did our podcast, and then I met him at a couple conventions, and he just couldn't be nicer. He's so genuine. He's so... when your main character is an adult superhero who is actually a child, like a 14-year-old child, Zachary Levi's perfect casting.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely... I know I said the word, but the best word to describe this movie is heart. It has so much heart. I love this movie. And another little bit of trivia that I think is interesting is that the movie, obviously the character of Shazam in the comics was originally known as Captain Marvel. And 1 month apart, we got the Captain Marvel movie starring Brie Larson. Then a month later, we got this one. Mm-hmm. 2 movies about characters who were originally named Captain Marvel. Well, that's actually not true, because Brie Larson's character was originally named Miss Marvel. But we won't get into semantics here. We get these 2 Captain Marvel movies, and by a strange twist of fate, Damon Hanzu was in both of them. He was in both of them because he played one of the Nova Corps in Captain Marvel, the same character he played in Guardians of the Galaxy, in fact. And then he was the wizard Shazam.
That's right.
In Shazam. And he was also one of the fish people in Aquaman, so he was in 3 superhero movies consecutively. The 3 live-action superhero movies that came out 2018 into 2019 in a row, Damon Hanzu was in all of them. So there you go.
He is winning at life. That's how you do it.
But yeah, no, I can't say enough about Shazam. I have so much love. I can't wait for the Black Adam movie, which is coming down, which is a spin-off of Shazam. And then a few months after Black Adam, just 3 months after Black Adam, we're getting Shazam 2. And I can't wait.
Yeah, we were all kind of on the fence, or we weren't on the fence, but that, like, it was like, are they going to do a Shazam 2? Because I know it didn't perform up to expectations, probably because it wasn't rated R. But I know it didn't perform up to expectations, and so a lot of us that liked, because I do like Shazam, we were like, are they gonna? And Zachary Levi, people be like, you gonna get a sequel? They're gonna do another one? He'd be like, I wish I knew. They haven't told me anything. I'm signed for a sequel, but they've said nothing to me. I hope I get to do one. So it's exciting that they are doing another one, because for me personally, that's the kind of direction that I would like to see DC take most of their properties, moving away from these R-rated takes and more towards the I want something I can take my family to. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's not interested in Joker or the Birds of Prey movie, but who is more interested in things that she loves the Marvel movies. She is a comic book kid, so she loves that sort of thing. Shazam, like, this is the direction. Shazam, Aquaman, that's the kind of thing that I think we need to be doing. Now, I understand that Warner can have it both ways. They can do both. This is my preferred take. I want to leave the movie feeling positive and optimistic about things.
I agree with you. I got to say, I think DC and Warner Brothers are on fire right now. I think ever since Walter Hamada took the reins of the DC Cinematic Universe, I don't think they've made like a bad move. Everything's been great. I do just wish they would... the R rating seems like a reactionary way to differentiate themselves from what Disney's doing, and I kind of wish they wouldn't go that route. But just because something's rated R doesn't mean it's bad. Like, I'm very excited about Birds of Prey. I wish Birds of Prey wasn't rated R, but it's also by Christina. The script is being written by Christina Dodson, who wrote Bumblebee, which I mentioned the word. Me too. I said the word heart for Shazam. There was so much heart in Bumblebee as well. So as soon as I heard Christina Dodson was writing the script for Birds of Prey, I was like, oh, okay. I'm in. I don't know about the director, but if I'm getting a script from the same person who gave me Bumblebee, you got my interest. And now she's writing The Flash movie with Ezra Miller. So I think DC is, like we both in agreement, a little less with the R rating.
Yeah.
But
I want to take my kid to some of these things. I want to.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm totally on board with the direction they've been heading. Otherwise, so. Shazam, man, bring on. And you know what I hope it is? I hope it's, because we got the tease. We got the tease at the end after the credits. I'm hoping it's Shazam versus the Monster Society of Evil. That's what I want the movie to be. I want that to be the title, Shazam versus the Monster Society of Evil. We got Mr. Mind after the credits. We saw the crocodile people and the Rock of Eternity.
I was trying to place it. I was like, what was the end credit scene? And I remember it now. Yeah. I need to see that again. I saw that in the theater once. I had kind of a bad experience. Chatty. There's just people. They were like, I went the day that Avengers Endgame opened because I was going to go see Avengers Endgame with my family. So I saw that movie that morning. It was like the first showing of the day. And I was like, if there's any day to go see a DC movie, it's the day a Marvel movie opens. And I was in the theater all by myself, and then like right as it was starting, these people came. It was like 3 people. They came in and they talked to the entire movie, talked to the screen, talked to me. And so it was a bad experience. I was like, did I even stay for the end credits? But I do remember now what was after the credits. I need to see it again though. I picked it up on Black Friday, but I haven't watched it again yet, so I need to revisit it.
There was a deleted scene. It's on your disc. Check it out. It's a really great deleted scene. There's a terrific deleted scene that I wish had been in the movie, where all the Shazam family take their seats in the Rock of Eternity. They all sit down. You know that there were the 6 seats, and there's 5 of them, and the 5 of them sit down, and there's 1 empty seat. And they look at the empty seat, and they say, "I wonder whose seat that is." And Darla says, "Whoever it is, we're going to love him or her because they are family." And it's Black Adam's seat.
Why would they cut that out?
I don't know.
Critical,
it's
man.
Such a great scene.
Maybe that would have been the post-credit sequence, and they were like, well, we got to set up a sequel. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, that is my choice. Shazam. And man, I think that movie would have done a lot more. I mean, it turned a profit. It got great reviews from critics. It turned a profit. It just wasn't quite as big as they hoped. I think it would have been bigger if it wasn't sandwiched between Captain Marvel and Avengers, because when Avengers came out, Captain Marvel got a second life. Captain Marvel was like top of the box office, then it started to slip. Then Avengers came out, and Captain Marvel shot back up, because when Avengers was sold out, all those people who went to see a Marvel movie went and saw the other Marvel movie that was out. So like Avengers was like a shot in the arm for Captain Marvel, and poor Shazam was just caught in the middle. It was bad timing.
Yeah. I got nothing to say to that. It's Marvel dominates. DC has been playing catch up on some of this stuff. Joker has turned a corner for them, and I don't want them to learn all the wrong lessons from Joker, because Joker is not a sustainable model for where we go moving forward. And we've talked Flash is coming. Well, I hope Flash isn't rated R. But like, I don't want a grim and gritty Flash take. I want a.
I don't think we. And in fact, it sounds like we know where they're going. I think I know where they're going.
Okay.
Because Robert Pattinson is Batman now. They've already said Robert Pattinson's Batman has no connection at all with Ben Affleck. So this is a reboot. I mean, for God's sakes, Jim Gordon's race changed. He was a white guy, and now Jeffrey Wright is playing the role. So this is a complete reboot of Batman. But James Gunn has gone on record as saying that his Suicide Squad, which is clearly a sequel, is in continuity with Robert Pattinson's Batman. So How are you going to do that? Well, we just found out the other day that the Flash movie is going to be the Flashpoint story, in which reality changes.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
sounds like we know where they're going, and I'm on board.
That's their version of the Thanos snap. You can just do anything with that Flashpoint paradox thing.
Exactly.
Cool.
It only snaps Ben Affleck away.
Yeah. Okay.
So, there you go.
Well, it's exciting. I remain optimistic about that. It'll be good. It'll be good.
I'm excited.
Yeah. It'll be good unless we have no optimism until proven not, until we're given a reason not to be optimistic. They seem to have learned from some past not failures, but some things that weren't responded to as well as they would have liked. They want that Marvel love, and I think that the way to do that is by loving your characters and treating them with respect.
Well, I've always maintained that Warner Brothers really only made one mistake. Only one mistake. But the problem was that mistake was carried over multiple films. And that was they hired the wrong guy. Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder, who I like. I'm a fan of Zack Snyder. He was on record after Watchmen. He did an interview and he said, "I don't like Superman." You got a guy who didn't like Superman to make Superman. Mm-hmm. And then he made Batman v Superman. And then he started making Justice League. And it's like, all the problems we had, I think, stemmed from one person. And it's like, if as soon as we got James Wan in there, as soon as we got Patty Jenkins in there, different filmmakers who got the characters, it was a different story.
Yeah, and I think that the creative direction of... This is all speculation. I have no inside knowledge. This is just opinion, so take that for what it's worth. But I just feel like DC/Warner Brothers does not... They may now, at the time, did not have faith in those characters. They thought those characters needed to be freshened up. They thought Superman needed to be grittied up to make him a little bit darker and a little bit more appealing to a modern audience. And I don't agree with that, but I think that's what the idea was.
I agree with you.
Thus hiring Zack Snyder to do that, because he had made Watchmen, which was a very successful... I think it succeeds at what it was trying to do. It's a good success. I think it's a successful adaptation of that story, but it is obviously a very dark take, and it's a very gritty postmodern take on those characters. And I don't think that you can do postmodern DC universe with any sort of continuity. Because when you have broken characters, they're broken. You can't have an ongoing, forward-moving continuity with broken characters, in my opinion.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, you get it, man. This was great. This was fun.
Did we get on a down note? Was it too down?
Oh, I don't think so.
Want to do a dance? We do dance.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do my Joker dance. Just a little of this. And a little of this.
By the way, did you see the Burger King commercial?
No, I guess not.
Apparently the Joker stairs that he dances on in the Joker have become a tourist attraction now.
Oh, okay.
And they're located in the Bronx, and apparently the locals are annoyed by it. So Burger King did a commercial that starts off with a bunch of different clowns dancing on the steps.
Oh, wow.
And then it says, "We get it, local people of the Bronx. Clowns are annoying." And then they cut to the king dancing on the stairs. And they said, basically, if you use the code KINGSTAIRS on Uber Eats, they'll send you a free Whopper. But you gotta live in the Bronx.
Okay. Wow. Those stairs are going to be like the Rocky steps now. Some people are going to be dancing on those stairs.
Oh, yeah. I remember in high school, because, I'm in the Philadelphia area. I remember in high school we had to go to the art museum to shoot something for my TV productions class. And there was this one guy who was like I was a nerdy guy too, so I'm not making fun of him. But he was like the littlest, nerdiest guy among us, and he started running up the stairs like Rocky. And our teacher just watched him go and goes, "Oh yeah, like he's Rocky."
Wow.
It was hilarious. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I interrupted your gratitude. Thank you for having me on the on the video. So I almost said podcast, but on the video to talk about our 5 favorite movies. I could have done. I think this was a good year for movies. Narrowing it down to 5 was kind of tough because I had some honorable mentions too.
Oh yeah.
It was a good year. People say, I hear a lot, you know, they don't make them like they used to. This was the movies just suck now. I don't think that's the case at all. I think we're in a pretty, maybe it's not, you know, as good as it could be, but I think we're moving towards a pretty positive place.
I agree. I think we get. I don't know. Every year there's something. Every year there's something out there to love. Mm-hmm. It's just, are you looking for it in the right place?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a documentary that went direct to video that you didn't hear of. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's a little indie film. You know, you never know. There's always something.
That's right.
If you say there's no good movies out there, you're not looking hard enough.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my opinion, though.
I agree.
All right, so Serial at Midnight. That's where you can find this guy. Check him out. It's a heck of a channel.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's do like a goofy pose for the thumbnail, okay?
Okay.
Let's like.
I just shat.
That works. That works. All right. So yeah, check out Heath's channel if you don't already. If you don't already, what the heck's wrong with you? Go sub. But otherwise, thanks for joining me.
This was a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
All
we
right,
got to do it again. Until next time.
Oh, yes. Until next time, keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas with the plastic feet. Keep wearing those pajamas. Tell everyone you meet. Keep wearing those pajamas with the back door flap. Keep wearing those pajamas. Don't open it, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them PJs, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander adamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep on wearing those pajamas. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now we're having fun. Keep wearing those pajamas. And now the song is done.